Hi, I'm Jennell, and I want to share in this video all about broken heart syndrome and what you can do to prevent ever having to experience it. February is National Heart Month, and it's a time that I always reflect on, how am I doing? Am I doing everything I can to prevent having a heart attack or stroke, given my own family history? I find it shocking that cardiovascular disease remains the #1 killer of women. It actually claims the lives of 1 out of 3 women. That's about 1 woman every 80 seconds. And I was talking with a friend the other day who happens to be a nurse who works in a catheterization lab, known as a cath lab, where they do all kinds of uh, procedures to treat cardiovascular disease. And we were sharing about all the stressors that people are trying to manage during the continuation of the global pandemic. And my friend said, we've had such an increase in cases of broken heart syndrome that she had ever seen in her nursing career. And I asked her to explain more about that because honestly, I did not know about broken heart syndrome. And I wanted to know more. So she explained to me what it was, what the impacts were, the symptoms. And so it really sparked my desire to share in this video what it is and what the symptoms are, what causes it, and what you can do to prevent it. And I also did some research from the Cleveland Clinic and the Mayo Clinic that I'm going to share with you. So first, let me just say very clearly, I am not a medical professional. I'm a leadership, emotional intelligence, and mindfulness expert. However, I work with a lot of female leaders as well as men, and I know that this is something that perhaps they are struggling with, and I wanted to be informed and to be able to share that with them and also with anyone watching this video. So that is my intention, to just create more understanding and awareness of how big a problem this is for men, but also mostly for women, particularly women who are experiencing an increase in the risk of heart disease due to the COVID-related stressors. So if you are a leader, know that you have even more COVID-related stressors because you're trying to lead virtual teams, keep people motivated, productive, and engaged. And I know this because I work with such leaders every week. So first, what is broken heart syndrome? And I'm going to take this directly and credit the Cleveland Clinic. I got it right off their website. It was just so excellent in how they explained it. So broken heart syndrome, also known as stress cardiomyopathy, is a temporary and reversible heart condition with symptoms that do mimic a heart attack. But unlike a heart attack, broken heart syndrome happens when a sudden physical or emotional stress causes a rapid weakening of your heart muscle. You may think you're having a heart attack because the symptoms, such as shortness of breath and chest pain, are similar in both conditions. However, in broken heart syndrome, you don't typically have a blocked coronary artery or permanent heart damage, and you usually make a fast and full recovery. And that's the end of what I got off the Cleveland Clinic's website. I did find a study that was just published recently, December 15th, 2020, in the Journal of the American Heart Association. And it was all about broken heart syndrome. And this study found that women who felt more stressed at their jobs, in their roles as caregivers, mothers, spouses, et cetera, had greater chances of developing high blood pressure, gaining weight, and eating a less healthy diet, all factors that contribute to poor heart health. The study also found an increase 4 times in the incidences of stress cardiomyopathy, also known as broken heart syndrome, between March 1 and April 30th of 2020. So as you recall, that's the same time that COVID was really becoming something that was dominating our life. Now, they compared that to the same time period in 2019 and found it increased 4 times. So what causes broken heart syndrome? I'm going to go back to the Cleveland website, which was so informative, and share with you directly from there. They say broken heart syndrome mostly affects women, about 88%, especially in later middle age. Now, one possible explanation is that the female hormone estrogen protects the heart against any harmful effects of hormones released in response to stress, cortisol, adrenaline. And so as the level of estrogen declines with age, women might just be more susceptible to the effects of sudden stress. So let me share some examples of sudden emotional stressors that can bring on broken heart syndrome. Grief from the death of a loved one, and other large or meaningful losses, divorce, the ending of a long-term relationship, losing a job, home, loss of income or a pet, receiving bad news, intense fear like public speaking or being robbed or having a car accident, extreme anger can bring it on. Even good news can bring it on, like winning the lottery or a huge surprise party. Now, those are the emotional stressor examples. Let me share with you the sudden physical stressors that can bring on broken heart syndrome: severe pain, an exhausting physical event, health issues, including asthma attack, difficulty breathing, seizure, stroke, high fever, low blood sugar, large blood loss, even surgery. So those are the sort of the emotional and physical stressors. Also from the Cleveland Clinic website, they say the symptoms of broken heart syndrome include that you might feel those symptoms from minutes up to hours after a stressful event. So in broken heart syndrome, the release of stress hormones temporarily stuns your heart muscle, producing symptoms similar to a heart attack. Now, the signs and symptoms of broken heart syndrome include sudden severe chest pain. Sometimes people call that angina. That's the most common symptom. Shortness of breath, another primary symptom. You can experience both of those even if you have no history of heart disease. Again, I'm talking about broken heart syndrome here. You can experience weakening in the left ventricle of your heart, and that is a main sign. So these are signs and symptoms: fluid in the lungs, irregular heartbeats, and low blood pressure. Now, from the Mayo Clinic, they say that if you're experiencing any chest pain, a rapid, very rapid or irregular heartbeat or shortness of breath after a stressful event, to call 911 or emergency medical assistance immediately. So this is not anything that we want to just ignore, right? We've got to pay attention to this. So what can you do to prevent it? Well, we're all trying to manage an extraordinary level of stress right now. Our minds and our bodies are just not designed to withstand 11 months of being in a pandemic, chronic stress like that, that we are all experiencing. So we need to counterbalance that level of stress with preventative actions like more self-care and even just being more aware and acknowledging what it is that we're experiencing. COVID-19 stress affects both genders, right? But women, particularly caregivers, have been less likely to engage in self-care activities, probably lack of energy, lack of time, right? Women may not prioritize self-care practices to reduce stress. And why is that? Now, I work with a lot of women leaders, and I have some real thoughts about this. I know that a lot of times women fear that if they take time away from their work or their families, that someone or something is going to really suffer. And so we tend to self-sacrifice sometimes, and then we end up even being resentful that we made that decision, which creates just more stress. And sometimes we get financially rewarded for working long hours, or emotionally rewarded, from overworking, some kind of recognition or promotion. But spending so much time on work really decreases our ability to have the bandwidth for quality time to rest and rejuvenate and take good care of ourselves. I think most women know these things that they're doing, and they also know the things that they should be doing to take better care of themselves, to practice self-care like exercise, eating healthy food, getting enough sleep, reaching out to friends, reducing stress with meditation, journaling, yoga, doing something outside, being in nature. We know these things, but again, my intention on focusing on this in this video is that we all need to be more intentional about how we actually commit to doing those things, right? In order to take good care of ourselves and prevent broken heart syndrome or a heart attack or stroke or some other kind of health challenge. So I already mentioned the studies that validate the uptick during the past 12 months in heart problems, strokes, etc. So maybe now is just a great time to shift your mindset about your own self-care and recommit to prioritizing your mental, emotional, and physical health. Give yourself permission to take time out for self-care activities. They are not really optional, they're essential. And I know it is hard to break old habits, like taking care, of others first. but as one example, but the truth is, if you're not okay, nothing is going to be okay. As the flight attendants say, put your oxygen mask on first, then help anyone else traveling with you. So, to shift your mindset about prioritizing your own self care, I suggest you start with small changes that will improve your overall health and protect your heart. For example, you can just begin by taking a few minutes every day for some deep breathing and work your way up to other stress reducing activities like taking a yoga class, like meditating every day, journaling, practicing gratitude, taking time to go outside, even if it's cold, and just be in nature. So, and also don't dismiss the value of connecting with other people, especially if you feel very isolated by not being able to see people outside of your immediate household, right? Using technology like FaceTime and Zoom can help you see more people while you're talking to them, and that will help you feel much more emotionally connected. These small changes will add up and begin to reduce your stress level. That feeling less stress will then help you find that time to exercise, prepare healthy foods, get a great night's sleep, all of which will create a positive cycle of building a healthier mind, body, and heart. And I'll close with a quote from Parker Palmer, who is an author, writer, and activist. And he says, self care is never a selfish act. It is simply good stewardship of the only gift I have, the gift I was put on earth to offer to others. So, my call to action to you, if you're listening to this, is to please pay attention to any symptoms that I've shared with you here, to take good care of yourself during this time. It is abnormal. And so we have to be more mindful of all the things that we do control that we can do to take great care of ourselves. Thank you.